Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Today we have session on how to face CA exams for CA intermediate students. For the first subject we'll go with is corporate and other laws. We have with us CS Bharath Kumar sir. I'll introduce Bharath Kumar sir. He's a company secretary by profession and he has 10 years of corporate experience in the field of finance, accounting and corporate compliances. He has a passion for teaching and handles various subjects. For CA intermediate students, he handles ITSM, EIS, and corporate and other laws, economics and finance. He has taught students in different regional chapters of Thrissur, Calicut, Ernakulam, Vishakhapatnam, and other academies. In CA final, he handles corporate and economic laws, information systems, and control audit. In his for CS course, he handles CS executive subjects like capital markets, security laws, economic and commercial laws, and industrial labor laws in Chennai and Kerala. In CS Professional, which is the final course, he handles due diligence, corporate compliance management, information systems, ethics, government sustainability. He has been a guest lecturer for MGR Janaki College for Women, and he has also given lectures in many regional training institutes. He has handled many students from CA and CS exams. A teacher is recognized by its students. He has produced all rankers and he has produced results of 80% in a subject like ITSN. So we are honored to have you, sir, and we would love to have your experience with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Preet. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's always a pleasure giving up a talk on SICASA, and that too we are almost having just 50 days before the exams. It's going to be really, really crucial 4 hours of time today. We usually say this, right? So we usually say a good job is half done. So I will say today that a good job is going to be quarter done for a simple reason.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Today we have session on how to face CA exams for CA intermediate students. Tomorrow it is for final students. For the first subject we'll go with is corporate and other laws. We have with us CS Bharath Kumar sir, and after that we have enterprise information system and strategic management by Bharath Kumar sir. I'll introduce Bharath Kumar sir. He's a company secretary by profession and he has 10 years of corporate experience in the field of finance, accounting, and corporate compliances. He has a passion for teaching and handles various subjects. For CA intermediate students, he handles ITSM, EIS, and corporate and other laws, economics and finance. He has taught students in different regional chapters of Thrissur, Calicut, Ernakulam, Vishakhapatnam, and other academies. In CA final, he handles corporate and economic laws, information systems, and control audit. In his for CS course, he handles CS executive subjects like capital markets, security laws, economic and commercial laws, and industrial labor laws in Chennai and Kerala. In CS Professional, which is the final course, he handles due diligence, corporate compliance management, information systems, ethics, government sustainability. He has been a guest lecturer for MGR Janaki College for Women, and he has also given lectures in many regional training institutes. He has handled many students from CA and CS exams. A teacher is recognized by its students. He has produced all rankers and he has produced results of 80% in a subject like ITSN. So we are honored to have you, sir, and we would love to have your experience with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Preet. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's always a pleasure giving up a talk on SICASA, and that too we are almost having just 50 days before the exams. It's going to be really, really crucial 4 hours of time today. We usually say this, right? So we usually say a good job is half done. So I will say today that a good job is going to be quarter done for a simple reason. We say law is longevity personified. That means the law has to be for life and not just for exams. Whatever we see here for, it is all for our life and not just for exams. It can be in income tax law, it can be an indirect tax law, it can be a corporate law, it can be a security law, it can be anything relating to it. It is all just walks of life. So I'll just take you through what are the positives that we have for our law exam, and then I will take you to the points as to how you will have to prepare and hit it really hard. And then the next half an hour will be for your EAS. I'll just quickly share something so that it becomes a part of what we wanted to do. Okay, so I'll just make this bigger, so I hope you will be able to see it really easy. So I'll take the options for giving me a highlight and all these things so that it becomes really easy. Yeah, okay, now coming back, what is that the paper two? Are we ready to get an exemption in law? Undoubtedly yes. I've already told this, longevity personified. Law is going to be for life and not just for exams. I'll make it really bigger so that you will be able to see it easily. The positives that we have got, the number one is going to be 50 days left for the exams, and that's going to be really crucial. Yes, even if we start now, we'll be able to hit it really hard getting an exemption. Usually the exam starts by May 1st week. Now it is on the third week. Extra 15 days we have got, which is obviously a boost for us. All these are really good positives that we have got. Second, you will be super fresh after your accounting paper because law is your second paper. You can easily crack it because when you have energy, it can be done even more easily. You've got 2 days leave for your law exams. Leave alone the accounting exam and leave alone the exam day. Apart from that, you will have 2 days leave, which is going to be a real big boost for us, and that's going to be there. 30 marks MCQ. It is going to be a cakewalk for us if you know how to hit it. Now, when we say law is for life, many people say law is going to be more just from the study material. I would say if at all you wanted to study law, start from your barracks. That's where you will have to start from. Institute material, obviously from ICA it has been given fantastically. Now the charts and diagrams and the examples or the case-based questions relating to it are all fantastic, but still if at all you wanted to know the flow of how the act is formulated for your corporate law, it has to be done from the Bar Act, and that's where you will have to start. Okay, now let's kick off and say how to do it. Number one, you will have to swap the subjects when you start studying for law. For a simple reason, you are going to read something like a theory paper. Theory in the sense, it is not going to be more calculations. That's what we call as theory. Swap the subject. We say monkey mind will keep on be moving here and there. Correctly, when you start thinking about law, your mind will only go to your accounts or your costing. So when you start sitting for your taxation, that time only you will start thinking about law. So the mind which wavers here and there, we call this as monkey mind. To satisfy that, when you wanted to make an exemption very easily in law, start swapping the subjects every 1.5 hours. You can move from one subject to another, and that will be very crucial for a subject like law. So that has to be done as a point noted factor. So swap the subjects. So I am coloring the keywords which is swap. Next, study the provisions in golden hour. We call this as golden hour or fresh hour in psychology. That means when you wanted to get up really early in the morning, I am talking about 5 o'clock, 4:30, 4 o'clock, whatever the time is, that is your fresh hour because there'll be no traffic jam. I'm not talking about the road traffic. I'm talking about your mind traffic. There'll be no traffic jam in your mind because you'll be really fresh after a good sleep. So at that time, when you start studying the provisions, it will be really helpful. So please try to do that when you are studying something like law. Third, mark A category, B category, C category, and concentrate accordingly. Now, let's go for this. Sir, what is that we have for corporate and other laws? I am starting right now. Will I be able to manage it very easily? The answer is a big yes. First, we need to know about the 10 chapters that we have got, and then your 4 other laws. 10 chapters, chapter number 1 of your Companies Act preliminary, which is going to be definitions. All the definitions relating to all the 29 chapters will be there. Now I am talking about 29 chapters because that's the full of company law. But what we have for our intermediate is only 10 chapters. Only first 10 chapters. I am talking about the chapters of Companies Act. And obviously that will be the same in your institute material also. Usually when we say chapter number 1, chapter number 2, that is for your lesson number 1 or lesson number 2. But when I say chapter here, it is chapter of Companies Act. And obviously for our intermediate, it will be the chapter for our institute material also. So chapter number 1, preliminary, where you will have all the definitions. Chapter number 2, incorporation of the company and incidental matters thereto, where you will ensure all the steps for incorporating your MOAs, your AOAs, your documentations, all the clauses will be there, your doctrines, all will be there. What I'm doing, I'm just giving you a sum up so that when you know how to start with the ABC category, you will be able to pick it really easily. Chapter number 3, prospectus and allotment of securities. So prospectus for majorly for the public company, and it is for the public company only. Allotment of securities, how you deal with the stock exchange, what are the allotment of securities and what is your private placement. Then civil and criminal liabilities. That's a easy sum up of chapter number 3. Chapter number 4, share capital and debentures, where you will read everything that is getting your connection with your accounting, irrespective of whether you call it as like buyback of securities or your issue of shares at premium, prohibition of issue of shares at discount, your debentures, your redemptions, everything that you talk about, everything for a share certificate, alteration of share capital, everything is going to be there in chapter number 4. Chapter number 5, relatively very small deposits. Chapter number 6, relatively very small charges. Chapter number 7 is mammoth, voluminous chapter, management and administration, where you will talk about the general meetings. Chapter number 8, dividend, relatively small. Chapter number 9, accounts of companies. Chapter number 10, audit and auditors. This 9 and 10 has a fantastic connection with your auditing, where you will read something called company audit 1, 2. Accordingly, you can connect. Now, why did I summarize all these 10 chapters is you will know what's actually there in 10 chapters. Apart from that, the other laws you know, Indian Contract Act 1872, Negotiable Instruments Act 1881, and General Clause Act 1897, and you have interpretation of statutes, which is again getting connected with General Clause Act 1897. Now, what am I talking about? I summarized all these things. Don't you think you should know what is A, B, C category? The A category or the mammoth chapters, or where the case laws can easily be attracted from the institute. The chapters are chapter number 2, incorporation of the company. Chapter number 4, share capital and debentures. Chapter number 7, management and administration. Chapter number 9, accounts of companies. Chapter number 10, audit and auditors. So these are very crucial for a simple reason. These are mammoth and it has to be really strong. Now, when I wanted to talk about this, you should know when you will have to prioritize these chapters, and these chapters are to be done on the golden hour, the fresh hour, which I was talking in the previous point. Now, I am marking A, B, C category, and it is going to be perfect for us to cover these 5 chapters. Obviously, Indian contract is big and negotiable instruments is big. So you can also add this and say ICA also has to be covered. NIA also has to be covered. Negotiable Instruments Act. Now, the next one, differentiate easy and tough provisions. Inside the easy chapters, there will be tough provisions. Inside the mammoth chapters, there will be easy provisions. Do a SWOT analysis. We will anyways cover that in EASSM. What strength, weakness, opportunity, threat? What is your strength and weakness? What is easy for you? Sometimes it will be big, and it will be easy. Sometimes it will be small, but that will be hindering you really strong, like how a bee reacts to it. Correct? So MOA clauses, there will be various clauses like name clause, situation clause, object clause, capital liability, subscription, nomination clause for one person company. That takes time. That is going to be really tough provisions in the sense it is voluminous. So MOA classes. Next, disqualification of auditors. Again, it is going to be mammoth because it covers both in law and in auditing. Next is your private placement, which is again bigger in chapter number 3. So are you differentiating easy and tough provisions? If yes, you know exactly where to hit it. Our major problem is, sir, I have the starting trouble. If I know how to start, I know how to end. I'm just giving you all the ways where you will start easily so that you will never have an issue relating to a subject called law. Law will obviously be for life and not just for exams. Next, energy hour. When I talk about the golden hour or energy hour, it is all going to be the same. Please read the provisions for the first time. If at all you're doing it for the first time, do it before the food. When the doctor gives the prescription, he clearly tells you whether this medicine has to be taken before food or after food so that it will have its own effect. You know what is the effect when you read something like a theory paper after the food. Let's take for an example, you wanted to read law in a post-lunch session, the exam timing. Let's take an example, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So you know how crucial it is going to be. So at that time, you should not take anything new as a provision to study. So please do that before the food. So the prescription that I wanted to give for law is before the food. Please try to take all the things which are time consuming or you are reading something for the first time. I know we have got only 50 days left, but still, even if you start now, yes, it is going to be easy. Next, tick is after the food. You can ask me what is tick. That's the usual slogan I tell to all the students, saying think and then ink and then confirm whether what you thought and what you inked is going to be same, and then put it as a knowledge. So think, ink, and confirm and do a comparison and then do a knowledge. Please do all the tick after the food, majorly from your 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. You know what is that I'm talking about? I'm talking about the exam time. So you can practice in that way so that it becomes easier. Deadlines, numbers to be thorough. Like for example, the 6 months has been amended to 3 months. Now it is within 30 days. Sometimes they say 1 month. 30 days is different, 1 month is different. Charges created before 2/11/2018, charges created on or after 2/11/2018. So those numbers are going to be crucial. So deadlines and numbers has to be really thorough. Prepare an order or read a bare act so that it becomes easier. Section numbers for important provisions, please do have a writing practice which is called think, ink, confirmation, and knowledge. Practice case-based questions, very crucial for you, so that I will mark it in a different color. Practice case-based questions, because 90%, or maybe I would say 95% of the questions that is going to come in law is all case-based questions. So for a case-based question, how to approach this? First, you should know from which chapter it is coming. I've already told you the 10 chapters. Second, which section? Are you able to remember the section? If not, at least tell the chapter numbers. Let's take for an example, they are asking securities premium account. You definitely cannot remember from where the section that is coming from, but you know it is from chapter number 4. So at least say, as per the provisions of the chapter number 4, which is share capital and debentures, they are asking at least for anything. If you write it, that is going to be enough. Next is your company, which type of company it is, whether it is a one-person company or a private or a public or a small or a listed or a unlisted, whatever they wanted to ask in the question, you can differentiate based on the membership and the types of companies. See whether it is a positive question or a negative question. That's very important. So are they giving a hint? Are they twisting the question, or it is a straightforward question? Mostly what is our problem is we may not know where there is a small tweak in the question. So we will have a hit on it. Whenever we study a question, you read all the other provisions which are not so important, but sometimes you will miss the tweak where there is in the question. So see whether it is a positive or a negative question. Next, application of provisions. What is your case that they have asked? What are the provisions that you have done? So you will have to do an application of provisions, like how you study offer and acceptance. Correct? You should combine the offer and acceptance, then only it becomes a promise. Exactly the same way, connect the case and then your provisions, so that you apply the provisions based on the case, and then you come to inference or conclusion. This is how you will have to present a case-based question, so that you can easily get marks based on that. Many people write the conclusion first and then start with the answer. I don't think it is going to be appropriate. First tell what the provisions are, and then you can come to your conclusion. Next, connections list. There will be so much of connections in law. Please prepare something like connections list. Let's take for an example. There are various tables that you have, or the table structures for MOA. A, B, C, D, E. So when I'm talking about the liability, that liability is one part of your type of company. So in that liability, they will say company limited by shares, company limited by guarantee, with share capital, without share capital, unlimited company with share capital, without share capital. So when you try to cover this liability that I'm talking about on MOA, AOA table will get connected with your alteration of share capital, because that's also the liability which where I am connecting from chapter number 2 to chapter number 4. Chapter number 4 covers section 61 to 68, which is all change in the liability clause, which I am talking about in chapter 2. The connection is going to be crucial, so you can connect this. Next, the books example. Books of accounts has to be prepared as per section 128. Based on that, you do the prepare the financial statements and then give opinion 129. Automatically 132 NFRA will take care of both accounting standards and standards on auditing. The central government will prescribe the accounting standards 133. You will not stop with financial statements and auditor's report. Go for the board report as per 134, and 137 is filing your financial statements with the registrar. So see the connection here. I told it so quickly. You can listen to it again when the videos are on, giving back to the YouTube. So at that time, you can connect and see like 128, 129, 132, 133, 134, and 137. That's the connection that the whole of chapter number 9 gets covered on the maximum possible extent. Next, you will have to prepare something called definitions list, which you already know, that is from your chapter number 1. And that's going to be crucial. So connections list important. Definitions list, when I say types of companies, I will use a mnemonic called CAMEL. CAMEL. Though we should not use the memory techniques for law, because law has to be studied like law. It has to be not prepared more with a memory technique. But for our easy reference, I usually bring something called CAMEL. What is CAMEL? Based on control. Companies based on control. Company based on access to capital. Companies based on membership. Companies based on external. That means the other companies. Companies based on liability. So CAMEL is how you will try to remember. So most of the definitions will be like, what is a defined private company, defined public company, holding, associate, subsidiary, listed, unlisted, one person, private, public, small, hold, then foreign company, then your government company, Niti company, producer company. Like that, there will be various set of companies. Then company limited by shares, guarantee, and unlimited company. So there are easily you can categorize these companies based on something called CAMEL. Next is your confusing questions list, which I'm going to again talk about this in the green color. Prepare something called confusing questions. What is going to be confusing for you if you prepare it and then do? It is going to be no more an issue when it comes to your exam. Example, small company. When you read small company, you will have a problem whether it is or condition or unconditioned. Paid up capital and turnover, or paid up capital or turnover. Whether that 50 lakhs is the limit or 2 crores is the limit, or do you have an upper limit? So like this, there will be various confusions in small company definition itself. Company is small company, but confusions might be a bigger one. So we will have to be very careful about it. Next, the situation clause. When you do it within the town, what has to be done? Within a city, what is to be done? Then within a city, from one ROC to another ROC, or within the state, what resolutions has to be passed? Whose approval? When central government will come into picture? When regional director will come into picture? Like that, there will be various confusions that will be there. Prepare a list. When you study itself, you know what is confusing for you, what is not confusing. Prepare the list only for confusing, because on the day of exam, suddenly you will not be able to. Okay, someone is asking me what is the full form of TIC. TIC is think, ink, confirm, and knowledge. So first you think. What we do is generally you open up the book and study without even thinking whether we remember. Let's take for an example. Ramveer Mehra was asking me this question. I'll take the example. So when uh, Ramveer wants to study, he is studying the third chapter, completing 1 and 2. Without revising what is chapter number 1 and 2, he is going to chapter number 3, leaving a gap of 3 days. Now what's happening? he is not thinking about the first two chapters, but he presumes he remembers. But at the end of the day, if he tries to remember, he is not able to get the answer. So what has to be done? Every time you will have to think. That alone will not be enough, because whatever you think might be remembered when you write, or it may not be. So whatever you think, ink and see whether you are writing. Now, how will you know what you thought and what you inked is correct? You confirm it with the material and see whether you are correct, and then put it as your knowledge. If there is anything for a confusion, you can put that in the confusions questions list. As simple as that. And that's what I wanted to say for something called tick. So that's the easy way to remember. Next. What is the next one? Charts and diagrams. There will be so various charts and diagrams that we have in our institute material, beautifully given, fantastically drafted material, along with the charts, diagrams, and example. Simple example is appointment of auditors. Now, whether it is for government company or non-government company, whether it is for first auditor or subsequent auditor, like that, various permutation combination you will have with a small chart and diagram. Keep that list and start studying whenever you feel you are tired, and when you feel like something interesting cannot be done, go and see the charts and diagrams list. That's going to be again important. What is this GC and GC? Government company, non-government company. So that is again going to be there. Mnemonics. I already told you the shortcut or a memory technique, we call it as mnemonics. I told you already about the camel, which is like control, access to capital, membership, external, and liability. Easy to remember. What is this KCSR? If you remember Section 8 company, where and all you will apply this to for the Section 8 company. What is Section 8? Non-profit organization. I will usually say KCSR with the protection of environment. What is this KCSR? C, charity, and then accordingly you will try to say for any other purpose, and then your social awareness, and then your education, like that. Charity, it can be done for various religions. All these things you can easily compare it and say protection of environment, so you will be able to remember it very, very easily. So commerce, arts, science, education, charity, like that, social, religion, you can easily remember KCSR. Where the diagram is already given, you can make it easy for you to remember. Next, LMR sections and cases, your last minute revision. Now, sometimes our biggest problem is we would have studied really, really well, but you may not know what you will do before the examination time. I don't think there's going to be any problem this time for law, because you have got 2 days plus 1 day leave. I'll again repeat, 2 days plus 1 day leave. The 2 days are the full days leave that you have got. What is that one more day? After accounting, you will have half a day. On the exam day, you will have half a day. So 2 full days and 2 half a days become 3 days for you to become law. Now, when I say 3 days, don't go and check the institute website saying whether it is 3 days. No, it is actually 2 days. But positively speaking, you will have 3 days, because 2 days plus 2 half days become 1 day. I'm talking about the exam day on accounts, on exam day on law, half day will be there. So you can definitely connect. So what questions has to be done for last minute revision? We call this as 11th hour revision. The extreme end position, you cannot keep on be studying everything that's there for you. Only what is crucial, what is important, what you will usually be forgetting, what is confusing, what will give you quick confidence, that alone you will try to do for the 11th hour revision. For the last minute revision sections and cases, do something called quick glance notes. You may have so much of materials in hand. You might have got institute study material or reference books from various authors, various publications. You would have collected all these materials and think that yes, any of the book is going to help me during the examination. But I am surprised if you are not preparing your own handwritten notes. Unless and until you write your handwritten notes, I don't think you will be able to remember, because unless you do the tick which Rambir was asking, unless you do that tick, I don't think it is definitely going to make you remember that easily. So that's going to be important. This quick glance notes will help you really from 1:45 to 2 o'clock, because that is the time where you will get enormous confidence and you know that you're going to get an exemption for a simple reason. You are seeing the question paper and you are visualizing whatever you have done with this 15 points. So please try to take this 15 points as your mantras. Please try to take it really strong. Concentrate on each and every point again and again. Try to do various revisions, and every one time if the revision is made, just check if you have done all these things. If you have done, I don't think there is going to be any issue. You can remember every provision. Important sections, definitely yes, you will be able to remember. You don't need to remember all the sections, but yes, if you practice 3-4 times, it is going to come and fall on your lap. There is going to be no problem whatsoever. Easily you will be able to remember. Yes, so the first half an hour is done. So I have completed what is there for law. Yes, so I hope law is going to make our job really, really simple and easy. So we can accordingly take it forward. Now, do you have any other doubts? If yes, you can post it there for the preparation. Accordingly, I can help you on that. That is on one side. Now, if you are all fine, and I'll go to the next one. Yes. Sir, the other laws are comparatively tough to remember than corporate laws. Can you suggest any trick? Okay, I will tell you very simple. I'll quickly summarize that for Nanda Kumar, who is asking for other laws. Indian Contract Act 1872, very simple. Contract of indemnity guarantee, bailment pledge, and agency. What you should do is you should do something called reverse psychology for a simple reason. Go for the provisions only once, then immediately go to the case-based questions. Corporate law, you will not be able to do like that. You will read the provision 3-4 times and then only go to the case-based questions. But you don't need to do that for other laws. You can go directly to the provision once and immediately go to the case-based questions. You will find it easier. First, know what is difference between indemnity guarantee, bailment pledge, agency. Now, that alone is not going to be sufficient because case laws they will ask you. For example, surety, that should be more concentrated. If you see the case-based questions of the previous attempts, RTPs, MTPs, if you check all this, you know that there is going to be so much concentration on surety, because when you come to an intermediate level, they are not going to ask you just like that very normally contract of indemnity or guarantee and all. They will ask you in guarantee how the discharge of surety can happen. What are the different ways? So based on the case-based questions, go and mark the section numbers accordingly. When you mark the section numbers, what is going to happen? You will know how to connect it. And from that connection, you can do a reverse working and prepare the case-based questions. Next, Negotiable Instruments Act. Read the definitions and meanings only for your understanding. Go for the frequently asked questions list and go to the case-based questions which they have given in the institute material. It is going to really help you. I bet you will be able to remember the cases very easily, picking up it from there. So please go concentrate on your such answers and your RTPs and MTPs. I am not saying that alone is sufficient, but give more effect to that. That is the second one. IOS, there is only going to be 6 interpretations and then some 10 internal aids and 6 external aids. Easy to remember. Between the 6 interpretations alone, you will have to constructions. That's what we call it as. There will be small changes with the jargons. Practice 3-4 times. It is going to come to you very easily. General Clause Act is just a continuation, or wherever the definitions are not defined in a particular act, this is a specific act or general act, so only it is called General Clause Act. You will have some questions based on repeal, based on your time, based on your powers, based on your immovable property definitions and other definitions like good faith, financial year and all. You can concentrate more on those questions because those questions are quite repeated. I'm not saying again those questions alone has to be concentrated. Give more importance to it so that it becomes easy. So I hope I have covered the other laws also comparatively equally based on the Nanda Kumar's question. So I hope it should have definitely given him a good view, and also for Thank you so much for all the efforts, guys. I hope it should have been really helpful for you. Please don't stop watching this video once. Do it 2-3 times. I think it should definitely serve you the purpose. Thank you, dears. Have a great day. Keep visualizing. Visualization works. Definitely think big and automatically everything is going to fall in place. Thank you.